Grandma.
All right.
Germany story.
Well, this will go back about 52 years now, but I met my husband Dan in school. We went to school together, but once we graduated, I went one direction and he went another. And about 3 years after we graduated, I ran into him when I went home to visit my parents, and it was the weekend before Labor Day, and we decided after a few hours of discussion that we should get married. So he was home from Fort Knox.
So you just did?
And we knew we only had one weekend before he was going to be shipped somewhere. We weren't sure because this was during the Vietnam War, so there was a good possibility he could go to Vietnam, but we didn't know. So we knew we had 1 week to make this decision to where to go, and yeah, so we went to friends and talked to them, and they said, well, you'll have to go to Wise, Virginia, because there's no waiting period. This was in 1965. You had to have blood tests and a 3-day waiting period. So we had to do this very quickly. And now I was working in Columbus, Ohio, and he was in Fort Knox. So how we all managed to get this together.
You did it.
And we did it, yes. I had to take the bus from Columbus to our home that we grew up in, and he came from Fort Knox. His sister went to get him, and when we made the trip to Wise, Virginia, and then Saturday morning, after driving all night, we went to the office there at the courthouse to get the marriage license. And we said, okay, we do want to get married in a church. So we found a little church, and the minister married us, and we proceeded to then get back in the car and drive all the way back to Ohio. And and the next day, he had to be ready to go back to Fort Knox.
Wonderful.
So, and I came back to Columbus. Then, I think 2 weeks later, he got his last leave before he was going to get orders to be shipped out. So,
wonderful.
He was very lucky that he got to be shipped to Germany instead of Vietnam. But he and I, it was, and I stayed here in Columbus, Ohio, and worked, and he was in the Army, and he was stationed in Augsburg, Germany. And this was in September of 1965. So I worked and then had to figure out how I was going to be able to get to Germany. So it was a year before I got to see him again. So here...
Since you got married recently?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we were married, and I seen him one time before he left, and it was a year later, so we didn't have a lot of fights that first year.
Yeah, I can assume because you didn't see each other.
Right. But this was all new for me. I'd never been on a plane. And the first plane I get on, I go clear across the ocean.
All the way to Germany.
And because of the time change, I left New York on Saturday night and arrived in Germany on Saturday morning.
That's confusing.
So, yeah, I lost the day. But here it was almost like meeting a stranger, because this is in 1965. The way we communicated was letters. To even make a phone call was quite expensive because
so much easier if it was now.
Yeah, because
when and how did you guys meet?
I needed to get a job. It was after I graduated from high school, and I wanted to work in a music store, and I had seen the guy that worked there, that was the manager, and thought he was cute, so I decided to apply for a job, and it was for seasonal help. So I got interviewed, and then he was supposed to let me know by Friday if I got it or not, and I hadn't heard anything. So I was actually talking that night with my ex, my high school boyfriend, and he was telling me to call him to see if I got the job, and I didn't want to bug him, but he talked me into calling him. So when I called, Dave was all excited because he had lost my application and he wanted to hire me, and he remembered what I had on and everything, which was kind of funny, and told me I got the job. So I got hired, and we worked together through Christmas, and then after Christmas he told me that he was interested in me, but we couldn't date because he was my boss. So he had to ask for a transfer to another store so that we could go out. And he was older than me. He's 10 and a half years older than me. So he had lied for a little bit about his age, trying to be shady. But I eventually figured out, just from talking to him and different stuff, that he wasn't the age he was telling me. We went out on our first date on Valentine's Day that year. So, and then we dated for like a year and a half, and then we were married about a year and a half later. We got married in 1996. So we met in 92, yeah. And we got married in 96. And then we had Kiana in 98. And we were married until she was 5, and then that's when we got divorced. We were married 7 years. We were together 11, but we were married 7.
Were there any obstacles with the relationship?
Yeah. Well, not at first, not until we had Kiana. But her dad works a lot. He's a workaholic. So he was gone a lot. And, which was fine. But, so we just grew apart. So that's how we ended up getting divorced. But we get along really good. We never fight. We never, never caused any trouble with Kiana or anything. So that's always good. We have a unique relationship because we're really good friends.
When and how did you guys meet?
I met your mother walking from college when I was going to the store with my father.
And when was this, do you know exactly?
That was going to be in 1999, I want to say February.
February? Okay, alright. How long have you guys been married?
Almost 17 years.
Okay. What would you say made you fall in love?
My mother's a very kind woman. Pretty smile, very kind. She seemed very ambitious. And I like those. Those are great traits of a person. We had fun together too.
Still in love after all these years?
Absolutely.